Okay, so very good morning and welcome to today's live market profile and order flow trade analysis by Trade Education. So we are at episode 230, and before I start today's analysis, I'd just like to share a quick disclaimer that trading involves substantial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Also, the information which I'm sharing is for educational purposes only and cannot be used for any trade related activities. Okay. So with that, let me just quickly share my screen and let's identify some of the potential option development paths today from intraday or the positional trade perspective. Okay. So first of all, what I don't know whether you have observed or not, but since continuous last 3 days, so this was the all-time high around a very psychological or a whole number 13,800. After that, if you study the candles, if you study the candlesticks, so let me do one thing. Let me just zoom in a bit to explain you what I mean. Let me expand this. Okay, so this was the all-time high. Okay, so some issue with the chart, but let me Control Shift R. Okay, so this were the all-time high, 13,800 levels. Okay. Then what currently I'm seeing here, or what observing is, first of all, this was the level of resistance which became a support, based on this particular price action where it just tagged the all-time high and then it is just continuing to the higher side. Okay. So while this is happening, so since last 3 days, continuous newer highs are getting formed, and if you see the emotion or the sentiment from the buyer's perspective, so if you study the wick, see there was less wick here, there is some more wick, and this is something like a hammer pattern, and you see the from the price action perspective, see how frequent or how strong the buyers are coming in. Okay, so what I'm expecting is today the auction to open with one more gap up and continue to the higher side, and surprisingly sellers would be coming in, but I'll be just looking at this how the auction is getting developed. I'm not looking for any trades today being one of the expiry day. Also, since last, so in the last 3 days auction, so if you see the volumes are increasing, but sellers were the ones who were in control. Still, the auction is just trading higher. Okay, so that is another data point which I wanted to share. Okay, so with increase in price, the volumes are also increasing. Uh, the from the candlestick pattern perspective, if you study the candlesticks and price action perspective, the buyers are pretty strong. And if you see a wick, the strong wick and an indecisiveness or a hammer type of a pattern getting formed. And the reason why I'm saying that the auction will open with slightly around the high or the gap up is, if you look from the market profile chart. So the high, this particular high is not a strong high; it's a weak high. So an auction closed around the high. So this is the open, and that's where the auction closed. So both open and close are I think 1 or 2 ticks difference. Okay. So not a good high, not a good low also. So we also have got structured lows, but odds are higher that first of all will be tagging the high, see some sort of balancing, and when the auction reaches and tags the low of the today's auction, that's where I'll be seeing or observing whether that is an opportunity for a trade or not. Okay, so right now odds are higher that just a second, yeah, odds are higher that the high will be taken out first. We also have got weaker lows, or structured lows or clustered lows. We have got one more single print here. This single print has been almost cleared. just a few ticks left, and that's where again buyers came in. And I don't know whether you observed this low or not. So earlier I was actually planning to take a short trade, but when the auction stopped here, and when I think in the last it was in this period, this is where I took the trade, and the reason is, I also initially I was planning to take a short trade, but when the auction halted here and then it continued one time framing higher, the reason why I went for a long is because of the 2-day balance. So if you see this volume profile chart, this is where the auction halted, so around the VPOC levels. So when I saw this, and I actually entered in this candle. Okay, so what was happening is here a clear buying, or where buyers are there, and this is where strong sellers were there. Okay, so this was the range. Okay, so what happened is when I was seeing this wick, and when the auction closed above the selling zone, that's where I shorted puts targeting the high of the current auction. So that's how I planned my trade, and this is where I entered and I exited. So I was targeting the high, but I exited around the open, and when it was very nearing the high, that's where I booked my, or bought. So I sold 13,900 puts, 13,900, yeah. So I sold 13,900 puts, and I exited when the auction was trying to reach the end. Yeah. So that is what the overall trade plan which I had. Now let me just add the data points. Okay, and overall buying pressure is still there. Sellers are weakened. Sellers are still weak. So what I'm seeing here is we should see continuation. We should see follow through, and the value area high, the from the volume profile or the dynamic profile chart, this should act as the level of support. Okay, this particular level. Okay, so these are all strong support zones, because earlier from price action perspective, that's where sellers came in, which was counter auction, or where buyers came in, and they took out all the selling pressure. Okay, we have got one HVN here, one HVN here, one HVN here. Yeah, so multiple HVNs. Also, if we study the VSA chart, we have got again three distributions. So we got one distribution, we got second distribution, we got a third distribution. Okay, so these are the again three HVNs, which I'll be looking at, or four HVNs, which I'm thinking, I'll be observing how the auction is getting developed, and whether buyers are coming in strong or sellers are coming in strong. Yeah. So today from the auction development path, the high is weaker, the low is also weaker, but odds are higher that so I'm expecting the auction to open around the high, and we should see continuation to the higher side. Okay, this is the first auction development path. Second auction development path is we are just developing sideways. So this is the second auction development path. Third is it opens around the high, and clearly then just comes within the range, and the clustered high, or the weak high acts as again the level of resistance, and then we are just developing sideways. Okay, so these are the three auction development paths which I'm looking at to develop today from the intraday trade perspective. So let me just see where the pre-open market is. Yeah, so it's opening flat, 31st December. Today is 31st December. Okay, so the auction number, part number 3, is the one which I'll be looking at. Okay, so the market will open in next 30 seconds. In the meantime, guys, if you have got any comments, do use the live chat window, or else let's just wait and watch and see how the auction is getting developed. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the auction is open around the close of yesterday. The high is weaker and clearly it is coming down. So the current high is weaker. We have got clustered highs and see the massive drop. So let me just clear all this. First of all, then now let me mark the HVN. So this is one level. So we have got this one HVN. And this is the second HVN. That's where buying came in, selling stopped. Okay. So let me just now jump to the order flow chart. Massive selling came in, unfinished options around the lows, unfinished options around the high, massive delta, 1700 contracts, not so huge volume. The current low is intact, so what I'm expecting is some more push to the downside to clear the unfinished options, and then I'll be looking to take a long trade because the current high is weaker because it is just a few ticks away from the close, and also we have got stops which are getting built. So stops are getting built around here, stops are getting built around here. Okay, and those who are trying to go long, they are building stops around here, around the half back line. Okay, so one good trade is you can take a long trade, keeping a stop loss around the low or around this HVN, targeting the high of today. So that's the first trade which I'm seeing. So yesterday I shorted 13,900 P. What is the price now? Just a second. So the option is just tagging around VWAP and going higher. Okay, so I was looking at this as a level of support. It just tagged one of the HVN and is going higher. So a good trade location is let the auction go above the value area high, and then we might expect continuation to the upside. So delta is negative, option is above VWAP. Okay, so I'm just checking 13,900 PE. I was actually planning to take it for positional. Okay, so I sold it at 29, the price is at 25. Okay, so when did it open? Okay. So massive drop, 3,000 contracts, so good volume flow. Yesterday there were 4,000. One more data point is if you see the high of yesterday, this is unfinished auction. So I'll just tell you 13,926. No, not this. So if you see here, this auction which came in the first 5 minutes. Okay, so there are some trapped buyers there. So odds are higher that we will be tagging the high. Okay, so the long trade is still intact. Auction is still developing higher. Delta is still going sideways. It's below the zero line. So a risky trade here. Okay, 4,000 contracts traded in the first 5 minutes. Now I'm expecting buyers to step in and clear this unfinished auctions. Okay, so momentum buyers are stepping in. So if you see the psychology or the sentiment, what would many of you have done is looking at the first 5 minute candle, they would have shorted. And what they'll be doing is they will be keeping this as the range. If the auction closes above this, again buyers will step in. If the auction closes below the low, sellers will step in. Okay. So these are some of the classic retail, strategies, retail traders which they use. I would say they are not wrong strategies, but they don't work every time. So you need to use your common sense in terms of when to use them, when not to use them, because any strategy works in the market, because these are markets. Markets are dynamic, and anything can happen. Yeah. So is it tracking? Yeah. So we are nearing this HVN 390. Let me just go to the volume profile chart and see now clearly this has closed above the value area high. And sellers are stepping in, so the high is still weaker. So the high made is 3977.60. 3977.60. Okay, yeah. So this is a new high. 30. This is 3977. This is 3977.60. So I'm expecting one more push to the upside. So the anomalies or the unfinished auctions have been cleared, and I think you can book your profits, or those who entered long can just book your trade. I'm expecting again one more push and to clear the stop losses which are built around this price. So massive premium erosion is going on. So I'm just looking at 13,900 puts. So when I looked, it was around 25. Now it is 16. Yeah, so I'm waiting for a tempo, waiting for some push momentum players to step in. That's what I'm looking at. So who is selling here and who is buying here is what I'm currently trying to study. Because this is again a low volume area node, and we have just halted there. So this might act as a level of rejection. We're just trading around that zone. So I'm waiting for a sharp tempo, but it's not happening. Let's just wait for some time. Okay, so that tempo came in, waiting for momentum buyers to step in. Waiting for momentum buyers to step in. So the first trade was a success. So I'm expecting one more push to the upside. If that does not happen, it means selling pressure is still here, and I'll be taking the trade. So I'm not seeing any trade now. The long trade has been cleared. I'm not seeing any trade now, so I'll just sit and wait patiently and see if I'm able to spot any trades. Then I'll do, or else just observe the auction using market profile. So 3 minutes left before the current auction closes. So looking from volume, clearly there is a shift in delta, again sellers stepping in. 4,000, 2,000 volumes are drying out. Now this level should act as the level of support, the value area high. So I'm waiting for bounce back or a pull back around that level. Okay. So if you have got any comments, use the live chat window. And I'll be ending the session in a couple of minutes. So I'm anticipating a big push to the upside. Okay, so the high has been taken out. So let's see. So I'm just replying to a couple of emails, but I'm looking at the. So yeah, I'll request you to just look at how the option is getting developed. so the high has been taken out. Not so good buying happening. So now is the time to just wait and watch. So the long trade, you should be out of it. Tempo is not that great. Volumes are also not that great. Volumes are just dying out. The delta has shifting towards the positive side. Okay. So I think that's all which I wanted to share today. And today being the last day of the year, Happy New Year to every one of you. And let's catch up again the coming Monday, that is 4th of Jan. So do have fun and let's see and hoping for the coming year to be an amazing year for each and every one of us. Okay. And if you are interested to learn more about market profile, so there is a recording available in the YouTube description box below. So yeah, do feel free to check it out. And let's hope the initiatives which I'm taking can help you also become successful in life and trading also. Okay. So with that, ending the session for today. Happy New Year once again, and let's catch up on 4th of Jan and let's see how the auction develops. Okay. Take care. Bye for now. Happy New Year and happy and safe.